What is this week's parsha? Who can tell me? Someone said Korach. Well, what's this week's parsha in Israel? It's not Korach, because they are ahead 1 week. Why? They're ahead 1 week. They're reading Parshat Chukat, because on Shavuot, we had 2 days to Shavuot, and they had one. And so we read the second day of Shavuot, and they continued on in Israel with their parashah. We're going to be meeting up next week, actually. We're all going to be coming together because we have a double parashah, and they have just one. But it got me thinking about our relationship as Jewish Americans, American Jews, and Jews in the diaspora with Israel over these last couple of years. So those of us who were in Israel last Shabbat, we went to Kehilat Zion. Anyone ever been to Kehilat Zion in Yerushalayim, in Jerusalem? So you've been, I know, like the people in the room raised their hand. So the interesting thing about Kehilat Zion is that it looks very much like this, although they have a basketball hoop in the middle of their sanctuary, which we should totally have as well. And it felt very familiar to be there. It's a egalitarian synagogue, part of the conservative movement in Israel, and a very spiritual place, a beautiful place. And they read from Parshat Shlach Lecha. And so the interesting thing was, that was the only time that we heard it, because it was last week that we read it here. So that was the only time we could hear it. So I wanted to share just a little bit of it, even though we're reading Parshat Korach, because it does relate to the trip that we just went on. So for those who don't know, we had our first trip as a congregation to Israel, and we just got back yesterday morning. We had 8 of us total. It was a larger number, unfortunately, due to the war. There were people who dropped out, understandably so. And as it happened, we got down to 8. And I could not help but think about, during that parsha, about the spies that Moses and God send out to tour the land. Because there's a lot of conflict in this week's parsha, and it begins at that moment. So Moses sends out these 12 spies, and they come back. 10 of them, they have these grapes they're holding with them. By the way, the produce in Israel is incredibly tasty. I was just eating grapes and grapes. I had never had grapes this good. I said, settle down, there's more fruit. They come back, they have grapes, and what do they say? And I'm paraphrasing, the 10 spies say, it's an amazing land. Moses and God were right. A land of milk and honey. And there are these giants there. And we look like grasshoppers to them. There is no way that we're going to be able to conquer this land. We might as well go back to Egypt. And then there were 2, Joshua and Caleb, who disagreed. But the interesting thing is, they didn't disagree about what was going on in the land. They said, there are giants there. The produce, it's a land of milk and honey. But what? God's going to be with us. We're going to make it. You have to have faith. But they listened to the 10, not to the 2. And that's why that generation didn't make it into the land of Israel, because of that sin. And so what I thought about was, what is the Israel that we are going to see? The 8 of us. I called us the Elite 8. Because I'd been there many times. I've lived in Israel for 2 years. And I thought, which is Israel that I'm going to come back to? Is this the Israel post-Lebanon War 2006? Is this the Israel of the Second Intifada, 2002, 2003? We had left on Monday at noon. I was up all night, the previous night, looking at my phone, because I think at 3 o'clock in the morning we were going back to war, and at 6 a.m. there was peace in our time. So we got on the plane. I said, if they're not canceling, we're going. One of the people I was with was waiting for me to text him, are we going? I said, I got to his house, surprise, I'm here, we're going. And the country that we saw, it was quite incredible. You could not tell that there had just been a ballistic rocket attack just the day before. Just the day before. We saw people living life. We went to Jerusalem. We saw a hotel on Friday night that was packed. On Masada, though, we were alone. It was an eerie experience to be there alone. It was just the 9 of us. Anyone ever been to Masada alone with just less than 1 million of people? It's I think the second most visited site in Israel. The third was Caesarea. We also went there, also empty. And it was there that I davened Shachri in the Beit Knesset. And I thought about our future as a people and how far we had come and what we had already seen, and how so many people see Israel as being, some people see it being over. But I didn't see that at all. And it was there that on that rock in Masada that we made a promise to each other. We said, Masada will not fall again. And so that was the Israel that we saw, the Israel of bumper stickers everywhere, of young people, 18 to 21-year-olds to 40-year-olds in reserves, who gave their lives over these last 3 years to make sure that Masada, or that Israel, does not fall. And so I give you this message to say that Israel is ready to greet you, all of us. And they want to see us. It was an incredible thing to be welcomed as heroes, which we thought was totally undeserved, to the beautiful land of Israel and the people of Israel. And so when I think about Korach, this parsha we're about to read, and about these inner fightings between each other as Jews, I think about the American Jewish community here, all the fights we're having about Israel. But then I look in Israel, and I see a unity of the people, and not just of the people of the country,